What happens when you fuse a decade of hard-nosed pavement-pounding field sales experience with an elite AI engineer who built communications tech for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works? You completely dismantle the multi-billion dollar CRM landscape. Imagine it's 8:55 a.m., coffee's going cold in the truck, there's 6 stops left on your route. This ain't about the manager's quarterly review anymore. This is about giving the rep in the field defense-grade sales intelligence in the 30 seconds before that next client door opens. Welcome back to Talent Thrives Here, our podcast where we unpack the minds of relentless operators, premier builders, and the rare talent driving modern industry forward. I'm your host, Lance Lafort of Lafort Talent Group, where we recruit and coach top executive talent across North America. Today, I have a powerhouse duo in the studio. They are the co-founders of RepVantage LLC, a company that is actively unbundling field sales from traditional CRM baggage. First, we have Luke James Hayes, who loaded beverage trucks before he had a driver's license, managed hundreds of accounts across Chicago with his family business, and he paired that domain expertise with a computer science background from Northwestern. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lance. Very happy to be here. I appreciate you having us and our team on your platform.
Great to see you, Luke. Sitting next to him is his co-founder. Luke, if you could hit the. I'm going to be there. Sitting next to him is his co-founder, Thor Truelson, a Carnegie Mellon artificial intelligence alum. He has spent his career engineering software for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and developing counter-drone technology. Together, they're making and taking elite tech architecture and putting it right into the hands of the underpriced asset in sales, that field rep, those gentlemen out there in the field, gentle ladies as well, trying to get in touch with clients. Both you guys, welcome to the show. Thor, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be on. Thanks for having us, Lance.
Guys, I want to ask a few questions about co-founding, startup costs, time to build, stuff like that. Luke, you brought sort of deep-rooted field scars because you've been in the beverage industry with your family for a long time. And Thor, you brought a world-class combination in AI from Carnegie Mellon, aerospace defense systems. How do you two connect to map out the initial architecture of RepVantage? What were your actual startup costs to get the mobile-first app off the ground? And how long did it take to build out a voice-first product capable of running, if I get this right, 36 strategic agents smoothly? Am I correct on that? Over to you guys.
Yeah.
Luke, you're muted.
There we go.
It's been a little bit further than 36 agents at this point right now. We have about 65 agents. Wow. We have 70 industry verticals. So we try and have our agentic workflows be very professionals in terms of that industry. Obviously, I've worked in food and beverage my entire life. Thor's worked in aerospace and defense tech. There's a lot of other sales industries that us two have not been integrated into, whether that's media, whether it's insurance, medical devices. We've never worked these roles, but Thor enabled me, based off my sales experience, to utilize the background that I have in beverage and the way that I sell beer to then educate our language learning models on all of the other industries through validated research, proper guardrails to learn these industries through fast research algorithms and other things that enable us to help more people than just the beverage or the defense industry.
Awesome. Thor, anything to add on that?
Yeah, so even if you have many different verticals, you still rely on common baseline of what a salesperson does day to day and how RepVantage can help them. So what I took from Luke's experience is that common sales flow, as well as the knowledge to actually land a sale and integrate and spread it across verticals. Because really what it has is just how they integrate knowledge, how they integrate their scripts for their different products as well as vertical. So
Excellent. Okay, and you guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, roughly priced at $20 a month. You've essentially removed all corporate friction. Am I correct on that? That's a very low price point for rep. I think it's a no-brainer, right? And I I was a field rep for years in a number of industries in my 20s and early 30s. So, that ability to have my phone in my hand and be able to get data on any company I'm walking into, and detailed data, right? If you're looking at agentic help in the background, I'm sure it's going to scrape a lot of data that is going to put it at your fingertips quickly. So, I'm just curious. Um, when you're doing something like this, are you looking at maybe two or three industries first and then building out from that, or on the back end, is it relatively easy once you do some digging to figure out, a medical sales rep, what are they going to need versus a beer rep? Probably completely different data, obviously, but I'm curious when you're designing that and building that, what are some of the questions you might ask, and what's the kind of the research on the back end look like?
So I'll have Thor answer some of the more back end questions on this. And my perception of the reason why we had an offering for 1999 is because we want to give our platform to everyone. One of the biggest problems that I had when I was selling was if I wanted to use a new technology or use a new product, I would have to get approval from the IT department, from the security department to use it.
Yeah,
Most sales cycles when you're selling software, you're selling to a VP or a C-suite level. And in order to do that, you need to cold outreach via LinkedIn, via email, and then try and sell a dashboard to that VP. We want to enable the rep that cares about his job. They work on commission, so they want to make more money. You shouldn't have to rely on your company giving you the right tools to make more money. So if we only scrape from public data, if we don't integrate with actual CRMs, if we don't, touch data inside of that corporate account, then we don't need to have an IT ticket. We don't need to have security permissions. We don't need to have data processing agreements. We just want to help the rep in the field. So we build from the bottom up. We don't build to sell to the VP. We build to help the person who's making revenue for that company. And the only way to do that is by offering a subscription at a low cost base. Because even if that rep can't afford $20 a month, most industries, whether it's medical, insurance, beer, food, weaponry, they have a expense budget where they can spend $20 a month on software and they can write it off to their company. We wanted to help that rep where their organization was using certain software and that's the only thing that you're allowed. We want you to be able to access information to be better at your job without your corporate company being involved in that process.
Gotcha.
Thor?
Yeah, so I'll speak to the back end piece about how we abstract away like multiple verticals as well as the complexity that comes with them to still deliver power. So really in the base case, it's like if you abstract everything away, it's really just integrating large amounts of data and taking the time it would take a rep to search, integrate the data themselves, and create a frictionless platform so that if they're in the morning, right? This is like our tagline. In the morning, you got 5 minutes before you walk in. You're not opening up like 30 different tabs trying to integrate data yourself. You have one button, you pull it, you know who's like a key player in the business you're about to walk in. You know what you should say. You know the context about your own business and your own product and why it pertains to the customer and why they would have value from you. So delivering that is really still the common flow. So you can abstract away from any vertical. We just provide the context based on each different personal account, how to make that pipeline line up with them exactly.
Great. And how long? I'm curious on how long did this take to develop the app itself and the whole product, and then how long have you guys been in the market for?
Well, we've been gone back and forth on the product, and we've pivoted a couple of times. Like Luke can speak to it, trying to ideate. We know like the use case was there, right? Like AI driven sales and for how we can go to market. For the current iteration of the product, I think it's been around 2 months with relatively low costs to generate.
Okay.
So at first glance, as any startup company, you need to pivot We had a lot of ideas on, I met Thor when I moved to Austin, Texas in October of 2025. Um, I moved down there, obviously with sales experience. I was not, too heavy into backend infrastructure, how to scale AI. Most of the enterprise companies right now that are adopting AI, they're adopting it without understanding the guardrails. So Thor and I wanted to make sure that when we put our platform public, that it was properly guardrailed where it will actually help employees versus allowing them to be distracted. Many of these enterprise companies that adopt, whether it's Anthropic or OpenAI or Gemini, they adopt it not understanding that when they give it to their employees, they can do things that don't have anything to do with their job. So we, obviously we're disrupting middle management, but we don't want to give a salesman a platform where they can make a decision that has hallucinations or is incorrect, because salesmen act on data, and when they act on it, it needs to be accurate. If it's not accurate, that buyer's going to read right through it. They're not going to want to even talk to you again if you mention something that an AI platform gave you that was not honest. So we didn't want to put our product out into the market until we knew that if someone wanted to build an Excel spreadsheet or create a website when an enterprise company buys our platform, they can't do that. Your job is to sell. Your job is to push these brands to use a technology that will help you sell more, not distract you by its intelligence. Because AI is very intelligent and it can do so many different things, but it's also very distracting. So because it's so intelligent, it can distract your everyday rep from their day-to-day work because they're intrigued on the power that it has. And we would rather, streamline and tunnel vision that power to the rep on, okay, what is your job? If you ask me something that does not have to do with your position, we're not going to answer it. We only want to do things to keep you focused on your day-to-day in a streamlined fashion.
Cool. Yeah, and I think all of your experience in the field is probably really critical there, because again, I've in the field for years in my car driving all over the place, and more distractions is not a good idea. There's enough out there, and it's great putting in some guardrails on the AI, because we've all seen, I get them, you get them probably all the time, these kind of blanket, either a LinkedIn message or an email, and I can tell whatever tool they're using, or if it's them, if they're the tool, they've quickly looked at something in my background and then scripted a pitch like, hey, we see you've got a whole bunch of experience and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's really lame, man. Anyone could have written that, right? So I really get and we're all getting saturated with this stuff, right? Because the tools are getting, I wouldn't say they're getting better. They're just accessible by everybody now. My grandmother could get online with some AI after a few weekends of training, and I'm sure she could start spamming people. And so the idea is we've been blessed with this technology that didn't exist a few years ago, but the blessing is we've got to use it properly, right? We've got to put it in a place where it's laser focused. I've been seeing this script recently called Boil the Ocean. I don't know if you guys have heard that thing. It's basically giving any LLM a prompt that tells it, do not do any of the following things, and then giving it a laundry list of stuff not to do, to really restrain it so that it doesn't get going on these little rabbit holes and go crazy. I'm just curious, have you guys landed, you've been in the business for a few months out on the market, have you got some good clients that have said, I love this, way to go? And I also want to sort of say, I totally agree with your $19.99 price point. When I was a young sales rep, I started buying my own CRMs and my own data tools way back because the company wouldn't pay for them. And I remember my boss, the VP of sales, walking by and go, what are you using there? And I'm like, none of your business. But it was like, I've got to get my job done, and you guys aren't going to buy this. Or to your point, I've got to go through this rigmarole of a conversation or three before they might approve it or might not approve it, right? So that pain point is very relevant. I got like a little PTSD when you mentioned that, because I remember just going and buying my own stuff, right? The companies, they might pay for it, but I'm going to have to get a lot of questions and like, screw it. I'm just going to go buy my own software and do my own thing on my own laptop. So anyways, I go back to, have you had some good client wins and stuff like that so far?
Yeah, so Lance, that's our main use case right now, and that's the reason why we built from the bottom up versus from the top down. Our philosophy is that if we enable the rep in the field that's driving revenue for that company, their manager is going to ask them, why have you been performing better? Same way that your manager asks you, and you want to guardrail it. So we have referral programs set up internally where if you work for a certain corporate company and if you sign up for the platform, if you want to share, your gatekeeping success to your other employees that are inside of that industry, you get things like free swag or free briefs, incremental things, because reps work on leaderboards. They rack and stack themselves against anyone else inside their company. And for them using our platform and they perform better, I want them to be able to share that with their friends and be rewarded for it. The same way that they're rewarded for it on a commission or a quota structure inside of that enterprise account. So obviously everyone loves merchandise. Everyone loves having a new hoodie, a new pen, a new notebook. We want to not only help these reps with their day-to-day, but then be able to share it with their friends. We don't want gatekeeping, which is the reason why we're not selling to the C-suite level. We want to help the person in the field to have a tool that enables them every single day to perform better, to make more money, to increase their commissions. Almost every sales role, depending on what industry, they work on incentive structures, commission structures. The more that you sell, the more that you make. And you shouldn't have to rely on your company to give you the right tools to do that. So, we want to give it to everyone and hope that, and we've seen it we have fintech solution companies. I have Rocket Mortgage. My family owns a beer distribution company in the south side of Chicago. They have over 2,000 sales reps, and we tested it with them before we even went into the market. I tested it on my own. I worked for a point of sale company selling credit card processing rates, merchant services. I wanted, before I even brought this in front of a client, an investor, to test it on myself. So I'm in the field. This helps me for X, Y, or Z. And how can we give this to the masses to help them increase as well? And since we've done that, we've had so many testimonial and success stories from reps at Molson Coors, White Claw, Rocket Mortgage, medical industries, Moderna, Pfizer, that one rep started testing the product, shared it with their cohorts, and they continued to use it as well. And then we have the VPs come and reach out to us. Instead of us trying to sell another dashboard so you can micromanage what your rep did, let's enable the rep who's actually doing the work. And once you enable that rep, corporate follows suit, because obviously they care about revenue. And you can't generate more revenue without enabling the person who's actually generating it. So, our whole focus is on that person in the field. How can we help you? We're not trying to sell it to your corporate. We're not trying to sell it to, your C-suite. We're trying to put more money, more information, more data into your hands so you can close more deals. And then once that rep does, the corporate follows suit.
Yeah, no, I hear exactly that. And it's only like I was thinking while you were talking, Luke, it's like a viral thing, right? It'll go viral at the grassroots, and then it's going to spill upward. And it's, so I think you said it earlier. I can remember one of my first sales jobs where I had an allowance for, cell phone every month and insurance and gas. And then I had an expense report and I had to fill it in every month and I had to put in, all sorts of things. And it was not something I really enjoyed doing, but it was, otherwise I don't get the money back. I had to fill all that in. But yeah, something like this, $19.99 would be a no-brainer. Whether they paid for it or not, I would pay for it out of my own pocket just because, I'm looking after myself at the end of the day. It's not like you've asked for hundreds of dollars on a subscription fee. It's a great tool.
And the coolest part, Lance, is once they do share that with their cohorts under the same emails, say that I'm running an industry in Chicago and you're in Canada, Thor's in Texas. My wins are similar to your wins. Why did I close this deal? Did I close it because I found out there was a new decision maker from a LinkedIn post? Did I close it because I found out that a review on a comment on Facebook or on Yelp helped me do that? If I communicate with our platform saying that I won because of this reason, your account, Thor's account, will both be smarter because we did that. So most of the technology out there today, it's all about what you did last. Salesforce, HubSpot, all these things, they're systems with sales or stale data. You report to your manager on what you did. There's nothing that compounds intelligence throughout a team on why did you win this deal. Did you win it because you talked personality? Did you win it because you talked ROI? Did you win it because you knew that there was a different decision maker on that route? And our system does not only learn you, but it learns your whole industry. And then it shares that intelligence with all of the other people that are working in your company to ensure that you all have the same close rate. So, a lot of sales companies, they have, one or two guys that have been there for 10 years, and that's your rock. But what happens when that person leaves? You lose the relationships. You lose the ability to go back into that account and to sell the way that person did for the past 10 years. Yep. When a company uses our platform, that intelligence doesn't leave when the rep leaves. It stays in their platform. And it enables the next person to take that job over to continue building on the same experience that the rep before them had.
Excellent. Cool. All right, guys, I'm just watching the time, and I think we have probably an ADHD audience that's doing 12 things at the same time, probably driving and doing God knows what else while they're listening to us. Obviously, I'd like to give the audience a note of where to find you guys. Are both on LinkedIn, but is there a specific website you want them to go to if they want to check out? Because I know you've got a demo online, which was really cool. I saw it last week. So tell the audience where you want them to find you guys.
Thor, you answer these guys.
Yeah, you can find us at RepVantage.io or wedge.repvantage.com.
Okay, great. All right. Look, without further ado, I'd like to thank you both for being here. I wish you all the success. I have looked at the product myself. I'm pretty jazzed because I spent way too long in the car in my early sales careers, driving all over the place. And anything that makes that lifestyle a little easier and faster, and you're harnessing current technology, which is amazing. It's not the CRM or the data tool your granddaddy used or something like that. So it's cutting edge, which is awesome. I wish you guys all the success, and hopefully, maybe in 6 months or a year out, we'll have another chat and see what progress you've made and what markets you've kicked into. Because I'm sure this product's going to get eaten up once people know about it, once it gets out there, and once people start using it. I think it'll have that viral content. People will start sharing it with people because it's a great tool from what I've seen. Thank you both once again. Have a great night.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you so much, Lance. We appreciate your time and your support.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.